Without further ado, introducing our guest, Anna Quinn. Anna, welcome to the stream. Thank you.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming aboard. First of all, I got to ask, Anna, how are you feeling right now? How's everything going?
It's been a little stressful.
I imagine.
Yeah, we've just been trying to get a lot of the comments under control and like block the death threats and hope your baby dies stuff, because that's a little much.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's hard to imagine what you're going through, and especially receiving messages like that, especially from guys like 360, because we already know that that's the kind of mentality of the people who are sending those messages over to you. And just what are your thoughts on how that community itself, how it impacts the mentality of these men in terms of how they view women?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts are more so based on like it's been proven, it's been shown that their verbiage, that their outlook, that their opinions of women are exactly what their followers go by, and the attitude that they adopt. Like, just even their girls are bimbos is on one of their thumbnails, and that's things that everyone has like so many comments have been saying, like, you're a bimbo. Like, you just see like they do have an influence over these people, and it has not proven to be a powerful influence in especially their leader, because that I mean, and as more stuff starts to come out with this nonsense that's going on, it's clear to see that majority of the criticisms, it has not gone towards the Fresh Prince CEO, that guy. It's more towards the Myron, and everyone's talking about how much of like the more of a tyrant that this person is in that's what we see. Some of the stuff that we see on stage, we don't even know what's happening backstage with a lot of this stuff. So when you were reviewing those messages, I mean, just if you don't mind walking through that, like your whole mental process, just processing all that. I haven't been doing the best with processing it, but one of my friends actually told me something yesterday on the phone, which was really cool. She was like, these people, they don't know you, because if they knew you, they would not be saying any of these things to you. Like, they're just mindlessly following whatever Myron has told them, and his spin off the situation. And so she said, if you can just kind of step back and try to look at these comments like as a different person, like take on a different persona and be like, okay, these comments are going towards Anna Quinn Fitness instead of Anna Quinn. So Anna Quinn can try to delete them, and now I'm gonna seem like the chick with crazy multiple personalities. But
just separate. I know what you mean.
I'm trying to detach myself as much as I can, because I'm like, these people would not say these things to my face, for one, but also if they knew me at all or had any kind of real life conversation with me.
No, you're absolutely right. And speaking of real life conversations, I've had this running just thought, like, I'm thinking just the way some of these guys talk, because I'm around a lot of guys. Okay, I mean, those you guys fresh and fit stands in the building, you want to call us simps, whatever it is. I'm around a lot of guys who are men. They don't say things, they don't do these kind of things to women. So my thing is like, it's just a representative of the kind of mentality that these guys are forcing. I wouldn't say forcing, but these guys are buying into, because one thing I've noticed, a lot of the stuff that we see on there, and it's a lot of people talk about, it's like Jerry Springer type of nonsense. It's almost like a lot of the stuff is done intentionally. What are your thoughts on that? Just to make these women look bad, look terrible.
You're talking about things that go on the show?
On the show, like how they kick the girls out. Now new allegations are coming out that, hey, they get these girls drunk on purpose just to make them look bad so they can kick them out to feed whatever anger or fervor a lot of these guys who come in to see that stuff.
I have seen, I haven't seen enough of the shows to really say like whether or not, I haven't seen them kick girls out on the show. But as far as the get them drunk for that, I think those allegations sound a little crazy, because I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense if you're doing like an open table podcast to give your guests drinks, because they're going to tell the truth and they're going to be a little bit more blunt. Right. So I see that, but you never, unless one of the Fresh and Fit guys, and again, I've seen the worst side of them. So for me to even have this positive outlook on it, for me to say this is something, unless they actually said or admitted somewhere to someone that they're trying to get people drunk so that they act crazy, then that's that can't be assumed.
Right. No, that real talk that makes sense. So now, they had their what do you call it, their stream, their Q&A stream, right? They were talking about, hey guys, you want to ask us questions about what went along? Let's go ahead and come on the stream. So one thing I noticed about that is a lot of the evidence that we saw were kind of already some of the screenshots that you posted, and it seemed like they were using a lot of the same evidence, and then trying to basically manipulate the situation, or at least the perception of how that all went down. Because a lot of the screenshots and stuff that they went through, I mean, it's something, all the receipts that you already came forward and presented. Mind you, guys, pay attention. She didn't require anyone to super chat her to do this. All right. So if we want to talk about, ethics here, let's just be real. All right. If someone was really about it, they wouldn't be asking for money to basically clear their own name. So what are your thoughts on that? Any inconsistencies, what you thought was different from the situation? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the narrative, the screenshots were exactly the same, except for two things. One, I had unsent the message saying, I know, or Microsheet is a high value man who lives near me. My neighbor is Microsheet. And that was just strictly to protect. I don't know any logical person who would question why I did that.
Yeah.
If you're talking to people like in this industry and you're taking screenshots to prove, like, why would you throw someone that you know and respect in there? I unsent it to protect his identity.
Yeah.
But like Myron's whole narrative was, she knew we were going to collab with him in a week and blah, blah. How the heck would I know when you have a collaboration? I don't even talk to you. I don't even know you.
Right.
When your collaborations are. But all of his stuff, the stuff that got people so fired up and so angry, it wasn't the screenshots. It was just his narrative or take on what it was, or how he interpreted it. But it wasn't what was there. It was just, if you have a really sick, twisted, dark mind, this is how you could misinterpret it. Yeah. And he said, this is how I interpret it. And then everyone's like, oh, well, we do too.
Yeah, you read the chats. Oh my God, this absolves them of everything. We're guys, you guys are being too harsh. Okay, he came out and said his name was Elmer Fuddle. You guys have to just let it go, okay? He worked for the FBI, all this nonsense. It's like, guy, all right, you could do 2 Google searches and you can find out who this guy is. You can find out what it's all about. That's not the problem here, okay? Matter of fact, the big problem, I think, was seeking his fans on to influencers like you just for denying him sexual access in exchange for his show, which, by the way, kind of contradicts what he tells and preaches to his audience about paying for the box. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So it's like, I mean, this one was just like, people who are buying into this right now, this apology, I don't know.
There wasn't even an apology.
There wasn't.
But like 10 times he said, yeah, I realized I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have called her a 304. I shouldn't. Well, if you made all these mistakes and you're saying you made all these mistakes, wouldn't you follow with an apology? Wouldn't a sane person follow with an apology?
That sounds about right. It's like, any sane person would say, hey, not even just a sane person, right? Well, let's go with that. But to add to it, a sane man, right? You're teaching manhood. You're teaching taking responsibility. There are numerous tapes on your on your channel talking about men need to take more responsibility. Men need to do this. Men need to do that. But then here you are. The moment because the thing is, I think what he did, kind of like, along with other situations that went around, it kind of put a wedge between the communities, because then he's like labeling people who are constructively criticizing the behavior as like haters, clout chasers, all these things. I'm like, dude, we're just criticizing what it is. Look, I don't care about Fresh and Fit. I don't care about what you got going on. There's way crazier shows out there on YouTube that deserves attention. But when you talk about accountability, when you talk about, responsibility, when you talk about teaching manhood and you're positioning yourself in position of a leader, and then you face your first criticism and you run from that objection, I'm sorry, that deserves criticism. And you going around telling people who are criticizing this community as clout chasers and all that, that's an L in my book. And some of the guys who are following these people should really just pick that up and say, oh, okay, well, this is different than what he's telling me. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And it's funny because even in his accounts, he lied, and it was different than like.
Yeah, if you don't mind going through that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, like the proof was different than what he was saying in his narration of it. So even, he said that I was the first one to post. I was the first one to post what was going on anonymously, but I kept him completely anonymous. And even he lied multiple times, and I tried to call it out, and then they blocked me from the chat. But he lied and said that I was the first one to put it publicly. No, I had put it anonymously. My people were saying you should expose him. I sent him those screenshots. He said, go ahead and screenshot to Clout Chase. And then I said, I'd be happy to expose you. I will happily expose you.
Yeah.
After the message, I said, you're a terrible representation of your business. He literally read that line. He said, she said, I'm a terrible representation of my business. See, she threatened my business.
What? Wait.
How is saying you're a terrible representation of your business a threat? And then everyone in the chat is like, whoa, she threatened his business. Like, bro, that's not what it is. How does that? But they all believed him. They're like, oh yeah, that's a threat.
What?
If I say like, this is a terrible tasting chocolate cookie, this is a terrible Chips Ahoy cookie, it's not me saying I'm gonna go destroy Chips Ahoy.
Yeah.
Take down their brand. It's just me saying that this is not a good cookie.
And if correct me if I'm wrong, but you did that video that you post that was pretty much spilling all the tea and receipts. That was after the call out, because my initial thought on that when I was just analyzing the situation was like, oh, so what may have happened was he probably read those messages that you sent to the that you had with the poll on there, and probably thought, oh, she's probably gonna do this. So as a PR move, let me go ahead and get on top of this first. So by calling you out while the roommates were on that podcast and doxing you, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was my thoughts on that. Just correct me if I'm wrong.
The screenshots proved this, and this was actually the order. I posted it anonymous. He said, let me help you. I'll help you. He screenshotted our conversation with my username and posted it to his story. He was the first one to publicly post the conversation with our names. I posted it first anonymously.
So you didn't publicly, just to clarify for the guys in the chat, all right, all 900 of you, right? Go ahead and say that again. You did not
post it first. He posted it, and he even admits to it at the very end of him clearing all of it up when he brought out his timestamps. He's like, at this time, and then so at this time I said, I'll help you, and I posted our conversation, and he admits it when the whole 10 minutes before that he had been lying, saying I posted it first. He accidentally slipped and admitted the truth, which is that he posted it first, and after that, because he had told me to screenshot it, then I went ahead and posted it after he had posted it first.
Wow. So yeah, it was definitely, and that's something, and correct me if I'm wrong, like that's something that someone would do if they weren't rationally thinking. It was more of like a kind of instantaneous, no thought process, emotional decision. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Because if you run a multi, I don't know how much they're doing with their business, but I mean, until they did what the hell they did, they were moving pretty well. They had pretty good momentum with it. So to do something like that, I mean, to me, I'm sorry, if I have a cash cow like the podcast they have, it's like I wouldn't do anything to risk that. I wouldn't do anything to put that in jeopardy. So to act out of the rational thought of space of mind, it just kind of blew my senses away. I couldn't understand it.
It's because they know that their business and their following is built on, I don't want to say irrational people, because that's not the fair thing to say.
I'm low-key starting to think that.
But they know that would generate more hype. Calling someone out and putting someone on blast would give them more business, because that's their following.
The one thing I noticed is that, and I called that in the last video. I said that because that whole with Allende, right? Allende, they were saying, oh, he broke in, he kicked in the door. And you look at the door's fine. It's like somebody opened it, but he's doing that. And then you saw how fast they post that video, the quickness of it. I was just like, wait, Anna's been calling you out with all these receipts, and you sitting here talking about wait till Monday and then pay us and then ask us the questions. And I'm just like,
yeah. To me, this is worse. I don't want to say it's worse. To me, it's even worse to wait when you know that someone, especially someone pregnant, not trying to play that I'm pregnant card.
No, but go ahead.
Harassed and bullied because you sent people after initially. I didn't know until he pointed it out last night that he did say don't go harass her. But yeah, that was hours later.
Yeah, but the decision shouldn't have been made to do that in the first place.
But once you know, you're still going to wait till Monday to release more information when you know someone's being harassed and bullied about this, like because you sent them after her.
Yeah. You know, I think that whole waiting period was
just to generate more clout.
Not only that, the hype behind it, but I think it was for them to kind of try to put together and piece together how the hell they want to frame this, because there was no, when you look at that, and it kind of turned me, I'm like, all right, I don't want to watch this, because you're taking the evidence that already exists and then you're twisting to something else. When Allende came with the voice recording of, hey, you guys are stiffing your own subscribers on the party, right? And they're talking about the phone call and it says, hey, you're blaming me for stuff that didn't happen. Yeah. Couldn't even dissect that, and it's just like, yo, I'm done. You guys are just I don't know if these guys are dug in. Like when I tell you, Anna, that I'm honestly speechless about it, but I'm also glad that this crack exposed a lot, you know, because you look at some of their audience, you look at some of the super chats, and it's just like you can tell something was off. Because when you look at that, you're like, okay, how can these guys ridicule these ladies on here, pay money to do it, by the way? And then their same leaders are coming on saying, hey, you guys are simps. Okay, you guys are sitting here flying these same girls out, you know? So when he goes back to the house of cards, you know, that you were talking about, how it's not built on a solid foundation, I think they knew that the majority of these guys, this is who they're attracting. They want the simps. Now, my question to you is, do you think it's a form of a manipulation, what they're doing, in terms of getting these guys emotionally invested in them to keep that cash cow going?
No comment. I haven't watched enough of the shows to really have like an educated opinion on that.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. No, that makes sense.
A lot. I've only seen the one clip where my phone was blowing up, and that's where he told everyone my Instagram. I went on to see what the heck was going on, and again, I saw the clip from last night because I knew that they would be addressing this situation. So aside from that, I didn't even want to give them that view, to be honest.
Yeah. When you made that because you made a follow-up video, I believe, that kind of was just like, hey, was it a message to Myron or warning to Myron? What was your thought process behind that? What were you trying to, get across? If let's say Myron Gaines was listening right now, what would you try to get across? What were you trying to get across in that video?
Well, I mean, I don't want to say if he was listening right now, because my thing was, I wanted him to, I typed out that message and I was thinking about unblocking him and sending it to his new Instagram. And then I realized all that's going to happen if I send this message to his Instagram is the same thing that's happening right now, which is that he said, she said, and he's going to distort what I said and try to make it into something that it's not.
Yeah.
And so I was like, if it never even goes to him, if it just goes straight to the people and I put it on public, then no one can say, oh, well, what did you delete? What evidence is being left out? Everyone can hear 100% what I'm trying to say. And I even said intentionally, I'm not blaming you for the complications I'm having, but I am saying that this is not helping. And then, all of his followers and him and Fresh in the podcast, she's blaming us for, when I specifically said in the video, I'm not blaming you for this.
The thing is, I don't think they're listening. Even I've gotten it here. It's like they either see something or something that they don't agree with, and then all of a sudden these guys are in the comments or they're out there, moving like foot soldiers, which goes to show you, it's like, you guys aren't teaching anything that has to do with guys being stable. I mean, matter of fact, I think you guys are pumping out a generation of unstable men. And the thing is, no, I don't, it's not, I'm advocating for Fresh and Fit to be canceled. It's one of those things where it's like, guys, I just want you guys to be congruent in what you say, because clearly with guys like 360, the damage is there. What you're doing to these impressionable guys is there. For him to come on this podcast, you know, talking with Abba and then saying, oh, you know, I'm a nobody, but I got trucks. It's like, aren't these guys supposed to be teaching you to be a somebody? So if this is how you feel, right? Imagine how much all these other young men out there who aren't, and I think I'm not even mad at them, but I just feel sorry for them. It's like, imagine how they must be walking around feeling empty, and that's sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a nobody, but the thing that he's saying to contradict I'm a nobody is, but I got stuff, I got trucks, I got money.
It just goes towards that materialistic mindset. And that was the one thing, because I've been studying their show and just looking at it and looking at the overall our format. You know, how they get on, they ask the question, how much money do you want to make and things like that. And when I look at that, I'm like, guys, there's a difference between wants and what you have to have. And most of the time you tell people, hey, what kind of how much would you like to make, or this, like, yeah, of course people are going to throw out ballpark numbers and stuff like that. You get them drunk, you get people who aren't, you know, who are used to that kind of lifestyle, the Onlyfans, the Miami kind of thing. They're going to pump out these big ridiculous numbers, and what that does, it confirms to a lot of these guys, well, oh yeah, you have to be six figures, you have to do that, and which obviously majority of them aren't doing that. They aren't making that money. They're all banking on one day doing that, but they're not. So it's one of those things where I think it's a form of manipulation, because you're asking those questions up front. You know, these girls are going to answer it however way we want, and then you come in and bludgeon them with the facts, and it's like, okay, you got the statistics, but it doesn't pertain to reality. When I was talking about practical versus actual, like, theory, it's, you can say, hey, girls are more likely between the ages of 20 or 25 are more likely to act like this, and then when they turn 30 they're going to act like this, and they're going to be looking for this kind of guy. And it's like, what that does is basically it tells a lot of these guys who had bad experiences with women, no experiences with women, they start to categorize women in the blocks. Yep. And thinking, you look like this, so you're supposed to be this. You look like that, so you're supposed to act like that. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of that. I've seen the fruit of that in my comments, and because even the race thing, and I've spoken up against, I'm completely opposed to any kind of racism, and I've spoken up against it on my page multiple times, multiple videos. But I have seen so many comments where people are like, oh, like specifically, oh, here's another white woman, here's another black woman, or oh, I thought men only treated black women like this. I thought, like, there's so much classification of women, and like you said, like putting them in boxes. And I've just experienced that just from this situation, because again,
wow,
all of their verbiage is what I'm hearing 50 times a day from their following. It's the harassment that I'm getting, and it's the same thing. These people are getting it from somewhere, and they're watching this. Yeah. Where is it coming from? In real life, before this nonsense happened, were you meeting guys who talked or behaved this way, or did things, or even messaged this way if they were online? Like, I think girls before all these messages start to happen, because I want to know what does have to say with the kind of mentality these guys are preaching here. But go ahead. No, nothing like what I'm getting now. Like, I got some weird messages, like, you know, maybe one or two. Every other day I would get like a weird DM, a creepy DM from some guy, like, yeah, pay you pictures of your feet or something weird like that. Like, that's who they are. Yeah. But now it's like next level, like just hateful, disgusting, mean. I mean, wow. And realistically, that just tells me, it just confirms that a lot of these guys, they just don't have experiences with girls at all. Because it's like, yo, dude, I have a kid. I was married. I went through all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, I get what they're saying on some sorts with the whole, you know, leveling up and whatnot. But then it's also one thing you gotta understand. If you're in a relationship or you're dealing with women, because a lot what these guys are trying to do, they're trying to teach girls, and I think it's an exact, you know, opposite side of the coin of what they preach against women, but it's how they talk about hang on one second, how they talk about you know, see if they want to they're doing a poll right now. Okay. Oh wow, that's a lot of votes. Sorry, we're doing a poll. Real quick question: do you mind if the audience get a chance to ask you some questions? No. Do you mind that at all? Awesome. Donate to my GoFundMe, but
No, don't go. She is not in the social media right now, so just keep that in mind. But it's one of those things where they talk about the women and how they're you guys got to watch out for these types and what they're doing. It's like you guys are creating the exact same thing, and then you're teaching these guys to behave in a certain way that kind of perpetuates that future, right? So then you're talking about guys finding it hard to get on dates and put rotations and all this stuff like that. It's like, okay, what that speaks to me is you don't know how hard it is and how much time you have to spend into dealing with and investing in these rotations, in these relationships. And you guys are making it sound like it's all about the women, it's all about the materialistic things. And then when you go out into the real world, that's what you're gonna look for. Yeah. You know what the hardest thing is to look for someone who's actually gonna stick by you when shit hits the fan, right? And then we talk about relationship sides, the hypergamy side of things. It's one of those things where in a relationship, it's a two-way thing, okay? And because guys, what they don't like to talk about, and this is a uncomfortable truth for most guys, when they get in a relationship, they get comfortable. Majority of guys, they get comfortable. So it's work. You have to put in the work to be able to keep the relationship going, not only just for the woman, but for the man. What I think is these podcasts, and not just Fresh and Fit, for example, we're talking about all these other, because now I'm starting to peel back the curtain. I'm looking at this rot, and I'm just like, this is gross. But they're encouraging all. Anyways, it's just bad. Do we have a question? Okay, hang on one second. We got a question. This one's from Jessica. Anna should address why she can't protect Mike's name, but Fresh is allowed to protect the NBA player's name in his story. Oh, so what they're talking about is Fresh had this bullshit story with it's like, oh my God. It's like, dude, I live in a college town, okay? And the college athletes around here, they don't have problems finding parties, bruh. So right off the bat, when I saw that, it's like, what? What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. But what do you think about that question? Sorry about that.
I think the question makes a pretty loud point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Good. If you had anything to add to that.
No, I don't think so.
All right. So King Wolf, he says Anna and Myron are doing this for drama. What do you say about that?
I'm not doing it for drama. I'm doing it to stop the drama. Again, no one's going to believe me because everyone thinks my mom would vouch for me. But days before I posted that video, I called my mom crying because this has been 3 months or 2.5 months of me getting bullied. And I wanted it to stop. And so, when that screenshot resurfaced and got reposted on the Abba and Preach video, that's when I was like, all right, let me just actually put out a video, all the facts, clear the air. And the only thing that wasn't in there was the Mike Rashid thing. But again, he didn't need to be involved. And that comment had no weight in the conversation. Just me saying there are high value men in California too. My neighbor, Mike Rashid, just was on your show.
So someone says, is the trolling being paid for by Fresh and Fit? No. What the hell? First of all, guys, what are you talking about? All of this stuff, this isn't made up. You guys got to get out of this movie mindset that all this culture has got you guys believing. Life isn't a movie. This is reality. When people do dumb shit happens. All right. Matter of fact, I think reality is more of a goddamn movie than anything else. You can't make any of this shit up. But Anna, is this all some part of grand conspiracy of FNF, the Allende, all this stuff? What do you say to that?
No, it's just like when someone's telling the truth and people are doubting their truth, it's like other people are going to come out and say, hey, no, this is the truth. They're going to share their stories too, because when you've wronged a certain amount of people and one person starts speaking up and getting criticized for it, the other people have been wronged. They're going to start speaking up too, because they're going to come and support the others who have been wronged.
Exactly, because it's like guys, I don't think you understand. Okay, when your reputation is attacked like that, I mean, you look at guys like 360, and we'll talk about him in just a second. But you look at guys like 360. When we interviewed him on the podcast, the guy didn't even know your situation at all. He didn't know who you are. He didn't know what was going on. He woke up at 8 a.m. to send that message to you, and it's just like. I don't know, when I'm doing at 8 a.m, I'm probably still sleeping if I'm not working, but to wake up And all of a sudden, that early in the morning to do that, and then come on a podcast to try to defend what you did, it's like, you can't make this shit up. You really can't.
When you asked me to be on this podcast because he was going to be apologizing, or
yeah, we thought he was going to show up. I guess not.
Seriously, I 100% authentically wanted to come on and just tell him, like, hey, it's okay. Like, we all say things we regret. We all act out of turn, and you taking responsibility shows another level of character, because it's something that Myron couldn't even do last night. He couldn't even do. And I guarantee it's something wrong.
I guarantee you FNF fanboys out there, he wouldn't have the balls to even have you on camera to even talk about this with you. Because that's what a real man would do. A real man would say it to the face of the person who's making those accusations. But what we do is he hides behind a paywall of his goddamn subscribers, which doesn't make any sense. But speaking of 360, now my thing is, I don't have any animosity towards this man. I don't, everyone's calling him a kid. He's not a kid. Let's stop that right now. He's 24 years old. That goes to show you the age range and the kind of influence that's going on around here. So that's why this is so serious. This is the man acting like a child. What were you? Because I don't feel bad for him. I feel like he was mentally kind of, lost. And, as we got even into the interview, I felt that more. But what were your feelings on that? Did you hate him? Were you like, God damn, this kid, fuck him?
No, I mean, I think my jaw was on the floor because he's like, bro, I had to tell her that. And I'm like, you don't even, your face when I saw it, I was like, that was me too. I was like, you had to go like out of your way to like attack someone. Why?
Yeah. It did not make any sense. I was so confused. I was like, because it was like, I guess I'm not around a whole lot of stupid people in my regular life, so you don't hear a lot of dumb shit that would just throw you off guard. But when I heard that, I was just like, I'm in the Matrix for real. Like, this isn't what is happening. Like, this man literally just said that, and thousands of people are watching you. You had to do it. You had to be mean.
There is a difference. I am all for confident men who know their value, know what they're bringing to the table. There is a difference between confidence and ego. And ego is where it's, you know what? No matter what I said, no matter what I did, I'm not going to apologize because I'll own my stuff and I'll take the consequences. You know what the consequences are sometimes is you having to humble yourself and say sorry.
Yeah.
And feel a little uncomfortable when you do that, because that's actually what makes you level up as a man.
Exactly. And honestly,
fighting if they want to come at you for it.
Exactly. And taking pride in something that's as nonsensical as that, and bragging about with false bravado, it's not characteristics of being a man. And that's part of what these guys teach. To be a high value man, you got to beat your chest a little bit and go around walking around acting like you don't owe anyone shit and challenging anyone shit. And that's part of the reason why he made that decision to come on a podcast and in the first place. It's what I'm getting at right now was like, well, you guys are saying this about me, I'm gonna come up and step to it and do it. And then what happens? Your same guys are denouncing you for what you said and what you did. You got to understand, guy, like, this is all a game that these guys are playing. They're playing with your emotions here. This isn't what you want to be doing. And now you have, and the thing is, that's why I wanted to bring out, because he wasn't going to know that you were going to come on. Just being straight with you guys, with the audience, I wanted this to be kind of like because we said in the last video, this is going to be a redemption process, a story of coming straight and coming forward and addressing this. And realistically, I wanted this to be a great opportunity for him to sit here and say it to your face, I'm sorry, because what that was going to do, especially optics wise anyways, is going to at least say, okay, he's able to do this. And then just based off of your reaction off of that, even just willing to come on here knowing that he was going to be here. I mean, this is one of the guys who harassed you. Let's just be real. So knowing that he was going to come up here and do that, you still stepped up to give him that chance to hear him out. So the fact that he's not doing this, it just speaks volumes.
I just wanted to tell him, I wanted to give him a break. I wanted to be like, yo, you know what? You
But let me ask a question real quick. If 360 Blessings was watching right now, what would you tell him? What would you tell him? Just out of all this stuff right now, if you were just looking at him as like just a human.
manning up is not holding on to something you said that you regret saying or something nasty that you said. It's not owning up to your, taking responsibility for your actions and owning up to stuff is not saying like, okay, well, whatever the consequences of what I did, even if it was wrong, I'm going to take that because I'm a man. That doesn't show you as a man. What shows you as a man and what shows your quality of as a man is being able, and really as a person in general, is being able to say, you know what, when I messed up, it was a mistake. I'm sorry for the consequences of that. And I'm willing to take whatever the consequences are now, because I'm taking that back and I'm saying that was wrong.
Yeah. There's an old, go ahead.
If you can do that, you'll be much more, as far as most women are concerned, I think this is pretty fair to say, you'll be much more of a man in most women's eyes if you can do that, than if you can just hold on to your pride and, you know, just hold up for something you regret.
And the thing is, I wouldn't even call that pride. It was more of ego, because when I think about pride, I think about, you know, like for me anyways, culture, family, community, things like that. And tangent to that is what I'm doing to help not only uplift but actually advance that community. And that's the one thing that makes me feel like a man. Guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, like feeling like a man, it's not one of those things where it's alpha and all that. Man, I'm telling you, the one thing that made me understand what truly manhood was when I not only felt the pressure of just the real world and what it had to offer, but the fact that I got comfortable. I felt comfortable in holding that pressure and being able to move and act within it. There's a certain level of calmness. There's a certain level of responsibility and just joy in you finding that responsibility and owning up and just being a person of your word that people can look at and say, yeah, that person looks like he's about it, and you know what, I can trust that person. I can do that. That's what being a man is. All this pseudo masculinity stuff that you guys are listening to, it does not make any sense. So we got a couple more questions to go into, but we got another guest here that's going to be coming on board, and he's going to kind of weigh in on the situation, possibly ask you some questions here. Before the introduction, we got a question for Anna. Should men be taught to be a gentleman before being alpha?
I don't know if there's an order. I think both kind of coincide. I grew up very like my family they were conservative Christians, so they, you know, very much so in that belief is the man is the head of the household. That does not mean I want an alpha man, but also I am very, very strong personality myself.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a special type of man, but I absolutely require both things, and I think that both things can be taught and developed at the same time, because a leader, alpha is leader. You're a strong leader, and a strong leader is a gentleman, is humble, you know?
Yeah, it's just like how we say that women who act masculine and whatnot are all unattractive and whatnot, and how they tend to say that stuff. I agree with that, but guys who behave in this pseudo masculinity crap, that's the stuff that's the exact opposite of how you should be behaving. So if we're talking about gentlemen, it's just being respectful, being taught to grow up and look at people and giving them a basic just semblance of respect until the disrespect is given. Then it's up to you to decide if you want to withdraw that or not. But I agree. I have to agree with you with that question. I don't think it's being taught to be a gentleman, being alpha. I think those things are they go hand in hand. You know, if you're a gentleman, if you know how to treat a woman right, you're not. I mean, that's already going to make you alpha in her book. The problem is most guys, they know they teach these guys these red pill spaces. They teach these guys how to get women, but they don't teach them how to keep them. Instead, they substitute by you keeping rotations. I mean, who wants to keep doing that? I mean, I've done that back in my day, and I'm gonna tell you right now, it is fucking exhausting. It's expensive and exhausting. So why would you promote that kind of lifestyle with it? It just doesn't make any sense. If you really want to help young men, you know, I would tell them the exact advice that my mentor told me when I was younger, when I was messing around with females, and obviously I paid the consequences for it, which I had a child, which is fine. You deal with it, you move on, and I love it. But it's one of those things where if you're in your 20s, guy, focus on your life, focus on building stuff, focus on building yourself to the person you want to be, because you know, dealing with distractions in life and you're not ready for it, it's going to be that much harder for you.